Hey guys, if you're looking to start the Grey Knights army now in 10th edition, this video will give you the information you need to know what you need to buy to have an efficient and interesting force. Firstly, let's discuss the Combat Patrol Grey Knights, and here we are in luck because all the stuff that we have here in the Combat Patrol is extremely necessary and basically all we need. So much so that you can essentially buy 3 Combat Patrols and be done with your 2000 points army. So let's look at the contents. We have Nemesis Dread Knight. It's a brilliant unit. It would cost you $70 if you were to buy it in the official Games Workshop web store. The rules for this vehicle in 10th edition are brilliant. Everything about it I like a lot, even the design, even though it's very, very strange having a pilot on the outside of the vehicle, but still it's so Grey Knights-esque that I love it. And you really need these guys in your Grey Knights army because they give you the distraction, the speed, mobility that you actually really need still, even though Grey Knights are so mobile as is. Probably the worst part about the Dread Knight is the price. It costs 215 points now, so a little bit on the expensive side, but that can change very rapidly with the new Monitorum Field manual update. And also remember that out of this Nemesis Dread Knight, you can easily build a Nemesis Grandmaster, which is essentially the same model, and that one is a great dedicated monster vehicle hunter with its full rerolls to hit, wound, and damage rule against vehicles and monsters once per battle round. And the regular Nemesis Dread Knights have the wonderful advance and charge, advance and shoot, fall back and charge, fall back and shoot ability. So they are extremely zippy, mobile. You cannot stop them until you kill them. Next, we have a 5-man strike team, which is essentially half of the box that you would get if you were to buy the full strike team for $65. Brilliant box. You get so many bits that someone measured that from a full 10-man box, if you add a couple of torsos and arms, you can actually get a second 10-man team just for free. And also a lot of bits to decorate your models with if that's something that you really like to do. And you can build Purgation Squad, which is the dedicated shooting squad, the Interceptors, which are your fast attack with sort of jump axe, and also your Purifiers, which are a more elite version of the strike team. And all of that from just one box, and you can divide them as you like. You can build 5 Strike Marines, 5 Purgations, and that's why the Combat Patrol Grey Knights is so good, because each choice here is so versatile. And the rules for Strike Team are awesome now with 2+ save, a decent price of 27 points a model, and good shooting, good melee, even better melee, and extreme mobility. Next, the 5-man Brotherhood Terminator squad, which can also serve as a Paladin squad, is again brilliant. You get the Apothecary bits, which you really need now because Apothecary is essentially a war gear choice, and you will get an Apothecary kit in each 5-man Brotherhood team. Also, you will get a banner for your Ancient to give your guys objective control, 3 for the squad. And to be honest, the Brotherhood Terminators are now the workhorse of the army. They are good in the defensive, they are very good in melee, they can do damage to almost anything with their lethal hits ability on the charge, which means that their 6s to hit will automatically wound the target, and that means that their strength 6 will essentially be wounding anything well. The infantry and heavy infantry will be wounded naturally, and the tougher stuff with the lethal hits. So brilliant kit. You get a lot of bits there as well, stuff to decorate your models with and to use maybe potentially in some other projects. So definitely worth the price, and you will not be paying those $60 it would cost you in the web store, which is also great. Now, Librarian and Terminator armor. This model is extremely hard to come by itself because it's not really sold separately. It's very hard to buy. So having it here in the Combat Patrol is awesome. The Librarian model itself is very good. You get the Vortex of Doom ability to do mortal wounds to enemy units, essentially like the old psychic power that you had with the Grey Knights. It's now converted into ability, which on the 1 will do mortal wounds to your own squad, but on 2+ will do a lot of mortal wounds, I think like D3+3 mortals to the enemy units. So in that sense, Librarian is very useful. He also buffs up the squad that he leads with the 4+ shrug against psychic weapons. That one is probably less useful for Grey Knights because it's unlikely for you to encounter another Grey Knights or potentially 1,000 suns, something like that. Not very many psychic weapons in the game, but still useful. And the best part about the librarian is that he is in Terminator armor, so he can essentially, with some crafting and cutting and gluing, he can be anything you want. He can be a Grandmaster, he can be a Brotherhood Captain, he can be any Terminator armored character from your Grey Knights Codex, whatever you like, and you have the bits to do that easily with those Terminator squads. And the total value of contents is $230, whereas the price of the patrol is $160, so you're getting a $60 discount. And remember, you can get the patrol itself a bit cheaper if you know where to look, like the third-party resellers. Next, let's look at what else you need to buy. As I said before, if you acquired 3 or 4 patrols, you're already 99% done with the Grey Knights army. You can pretty much stop there. 3 patrols are a minimum of 2,040 points without enhancements. So if you buy and paint 3 patrols, you're not only gonna get a playable 2,000 points army, you're honestly gonna get a very strong 2,000 points army by the standards of Grey Knights as they are now in 10th edition. But if you want to go a step further than that, here is what I would suggest. Firstly, the one model that you probably really need if you are looking to play competitively with Grey Knights is Kaldor Drago, because he gets a once per battle plus 3 to the charge roll from Deep Strike to the squad that he leads. And for Grey Knights, they essentially live or die on how well they can charge from Deep Strike. Yes, mobility is great, but how good is your mobility if you can never get the charge off? Grandmaster Voldus is significantly less important, but still a great model. He can give your squad -1 to hit, the squad that he leads, and he's also decent in combat. So it's a good model, and I really like the design. And considering that you can have him and Drago together in one army, potentially if he gets a little bit of a discount, maybe you can look into buying him. A Stormraven gunship, $115. This one I would suggest to only go for if you really want your collection to be full, because it's a beautiful model, but it costs a lot of money. So, and you don't really need it for the purposes of playing Grey Knights. So if you really want to be a hardcore Grey Knights player, by all means go for the Stormraven gunship, because it has some really cool rules now in 10th edition. It can transport a dreadnought, so you can bring your box dreadnought with the rerolls to hit and wound of ones that he gives to infantry units around him. So it's a very useful buff for Grey Knights, which are a predominantly infantry-based army, and that dreadnought can bypass its movement 6 using Stormraven. Plus, you're not likely to lose a lot of models if someone kills the Stormraven because of the changes to the transport rule. So another reason to have him. And also Stormraven gets -1 damage, so it's pretty hard to kill the thing, considering that it's going to get the -1 to hit if it's a flyer, if it's in the flyer mode, and -1 damage. So a very good model, but also extremely expensive. The Land Raider, another questionable choice, another gamey or collector's choice, I would say. Not something you would buy if you were looking to have a competitive army that you can use here and now, but still a very good model. The Land Raiders are significantly better in 10th edition than they were in 9th. However, the synergy between the Grey Knights rules and the Land Raider is arguably less pronounced than it was in 9th, because you don't get to cast any psychic powers onto the Land Raider because there are none psychic powers. You don't get to use the teleportation rule that the Grey Knights have with the Land Raider. You cannot move the Land Raider using that rule. You essentially have almost no interactions with the model, apart from maybe something that I'm missing. So yes, having the chance to move 10 and then disembark and charge is great, but other than that, I don't think you really need the Land Raider, because you don't get enough shooting to get your money's worth from it, essentially. Castone Crow, he's the leader for the Purifier squad. He gives them some buffs, and he is also a great swordsman and a good model. Nothing you really need to actually have a good list, so it's something that you may want to buy if you want to expand the collection. And Rhinos and Razorbacks, those are always great, and those are actually like pretty competitive choices. So out of all the stuff that you saw in this what else to buy list, Drago and Rhinos are probably what you really want. Razorbacks are also good because you can get some reroll to wound for your purgation squads. However, the purgation squads have now been hit with the nerf bat because they have access to indirect fire, so they are very expensive, and I don't recommend to have them in your list at the moment with the current price. When the price changes, potentially we may want to get them, and having full rerolls to wounds on the turn that they disembarked from the Razorback may be useful. So this was the Grey Knights What to Buy guide for 10th edition. Let me know if I missed something, if there is something that you think should be in every Grey Knights list or every Grey Knights collection, and I'll see you next time.